Welcome to the College Recruiter webinar. The subject of today's discussion will be on how to use an English major to make more money as a freelance writer than a 9 to 5. My name is Andrea McEwen Henderson, and I will be your host today. I am one of the national account managers with College Recruiter. I have a dozen years of experience in helping large and small employers reach recent college graduates and students. My primary responsibilities are facilitating our webinars, moderating the discussions at our college recruiting bootcamp conferences, as well as working with small to mid-sized employers on their entry-level hiring needs. College Recruiter is the highest traffic college job board with 150,000 unique monthly visitors. We help employers reach recent graduates and students of 1, 2, and 4-year colleges and graduate schools. We have permission to deliver emails on behalf of our employer clients to 7 million recent graduates and 10 million students, and can target them by major, school, year of graduation, diversity, and more. Our other solutions for employers include job postings, targeted mobile banner ads, targeted display ads, virtual career fairs, and custom research projects. For more information about College Recruiter, you can reach us at www.collegerecruiter.com/contact or 952-848-2211. Today's guest is Sarah Greesonbach, the principal copywriter for Greesonbach Creative. Sarah is an undergraduate English major who actually writes for a living. Her work has been featured on Yahoo Business, AOL Careers, and more, and she also is staff writes for Simply Hired. She recently published Five-Figure Writer, the email template and tips I used to make $59,000 my first year freelancing, a how-to guide and community for making a full-time income writing versus working full-time. So with that, I'll turn the webinar over to Sarah.
Thank you, Andrea. It's great to be here with you guys today. Today I'm hoping to talk about the 4 following important things to know about freelancing with an English major. My main goal is to show you why the writing market is strong inside and outside of the box of a full-time job. I also want to encourage you that if you can write and if you have discipline, you can make an income as a freelance writer. Next, English majors also have valuable skills that they can translate for corporate and freelance success. And finally, I want to share a thought that has kept me going over the years, even when I had doubts. Other people are doing it, so you can do it too. I'll talk more about what I mean by that later. To share a little bit of my background, I actually didn't freelance right out of college because I didn't know how to do that, and I was very passionate about teaching. I got a bachelor's in arts in English and a master's in arts in teaching and went right into the classroom and hated it. I taught for 3 years as an English high school teacher, and even though I was a workaholic and put everything I had into the classroom, the environment turned out to be really toxic for me, and I crashed and burned. I transitioned out of the classroom to a wonderful position as a writer and editor for the Department of Defense. I got very lucky with my first job, from a friendly work environment to strong leadership and a supportive human resources manager. At that time, I wanted to help others escape the classroom, so in my off time, I wrote an ebook called Life After Teaching and started a website to talk about my experience. That led me to the writing websites I'll share later, and the idea that maybe I could actually write for a living. Because of the long commute, I transitioned out of that job to become a copywriter at a marketing agency nearby. I learned about digital marketing and salesmanship there, so when I was laid off in 6 months, which was quite a surprise, I decided to make the leap with the support of my husband's teacher salary. That was in October of 2013, and I've been freelancing ever since. There are definitely difficulties, but the freedom and experiences I've gotten to have been life-changing. And this year I decided to put it into another ebook, sharing everything I've learned about freelancing called Five-Figure Writer. The ebook is launched, and the partner content site launches later in August. So now that you know a little bit more about me, let's talk about the topic at hand, dissect those 4 points I made above, starting with the writing market. There are a lot of stereotypes about writing: the poor writer, the broke artist, and while there are definitely people who have a hard time making money with writing, most of those stereotypes only apply to creative writers. Sorry, guys. When you write your own ideas, whether that's a niche blog, a book, or poem, it's really hard to raise money because you're writing directly for customers, and customers are used to free content now. So think about the Amazon lending library and all the free content out there on blogs. When you write for someone else, though, especially for businesses, it's not as hard to get paid because those businesses have a budget set aside specifically to pay for it. Every business needs a writer, and sometimes even different kinds of writers within one business. So who you write for decides how much you get paid, and you can decide to write for just about anybody. That's part of the reason I say the writing market is strong. The Freelancers Union just released a study that says that more than 53 million Americans freelance in some fashion. That number includes full-time freelancers as well as full-time employees who moonlight on the side as freelancers. Which brings us to a really important idea to understand. Many people dismiss freelancing as unstable, when in reality it's full-time employment that you can't always count on. Job security is slowly becoming more of a myth when people with great jobs get laid off for no reason than a change of management. And then people with years and years of experience lose their jobs with no notice and find themselves completely lost in the wind. Like most freelancers, I now deeply believe that a diversified income is the new job security. So even if you start at a 9 to 5 after you get your degree, I want to strongly encourage you to start looking into this writing on the internet thing so that you have a backup plan when you find out your company is not loyal to you. Freelancing is not for everyone, as it comes with some perceived insecurity and a lot of stress. But anyone who wants to freelance can. If you can read and write and you have discipline, you have the basic skills necessary to succeed as a freelance writer. The writing and editing speaks for itself. You either like those things or you don't. The discipline comes with setting the deadlines for yourself and delivering on quality, even when absolutely no one is looking over your shoulder and Netflix just released all 14 seasons of NCIS, which was a really big challenge for me lately. Self-discipline can be taught, and mine has grown a whole bunch, but you need to start with a drive to make things happen or you won't likely be successful. Really, the things that make a good freelancer simply make a good person. Do what you say you will, care about the people you write for, and always try to do better than your best. Those rules will serve you in a full-time job as well as a freelancer. Confidence is a huge problem with writers, even well-seasoned ones. But you need to understand that the majority of people genuinely don't know how to string a sentence together. Communication and communication through writing is incredibly valuable. Just because something comes easily to you, like writing or seeing punctuation errors, doesn't mean it's easy for everyone or that it's not really valuable. It's a skill and a calling like any other, and therefore it's worth being paid a strong income. For me, I've always loved writing papers, even as an undergraduate. Formatting and explaining an idea within a 5 to 7 page paper was actually fun, and I enjoyed the process of outlining and explaining what I was talking about. For others, that's absolutely crazy. They'd literally rather do manual labor than write like that. So now, when a company needs a 5 to 7 page white paper, which I'll explain about a little later, I can charge a significant amount of money because I'm confident that few other people want to do that or are willing to do that within their company. I'm not big on asking permission from others, especially when it comes to careers, but it can be a great source of encouragement to remember that tons of other people freelance and make a really good living doing it. People have been freelancing since humans first learned to write, and especially as an English major nerd, now I like to think about Hemingway sending his articles to newspapers in other countries and waiting on his payment to come through before he went to dinner with his wife. No matter how technology advances, people always need a way to communicate ideas effectively, and that's exactly what English majors do. Because every business starts as an idea, that business becomes successful based on how well they can communicate that idea to their customers. That's where Good Writers comes in. You provide businesses a way to communicate effectively, which is invaluable to their bottom line. If you ever start to worry that there's not enough business out there for you, remember that there are more than 13 million large businesses in the United States alone, and that's not counting the 28 million small businesses in the U.S. and even more in the global market. If even half of those companies need a freelance writer or even a full-time writer, we're all employed forever. It's simply a matter of positioning yourself for those opportunities and then finding the right people to follow through with. As social proof, there are tons of writers making a living freelancing, writing, and editing. It's the ones that work hard at it and don't give up that are successful, but everyone has a kernel of that ability in them, and if someone out there can do it, why can't you? Speaking of other people, since I don't have the freelancing experience right out of college or freelancing as a single person, I connected with two successful freelancers who can share their story, Amanda Abaya and Jessica Starks, who I met through the Careful Sense Freelancers Facebook group. If you click through the links below, you can access their stories and learn more about how they navigated freelancing right out of college and as the sole income providers for themselves. Now that we're through the inspirational part of the webinar, let's talk about the reality of it. When you work for a company, the salary they offer you is about half of what they earn for your services, and they use the rest for company profits, benefits, and long-term planning. This is just the way of the business world, and it's what kept me stuck at about $50,000 of an income ceiling my whole working career. That was really frustrating for me, not because I'm especially greedy, but because I had a lot of debt, and I felt like I was improving, but not getting paid for those improvements. One of the biggest things I struggled with when I made the transition was how to get people to give me money. It sounds crass to say it that way, but the process of going from I am writing for you to now pay me for writing was mythical. It actually looked like magic. The first thing I want to share is that just because it's strange to you doesn't mean it's strange to others. The secret is that it's normal to pay writers. Clients and businesses expect it. They already know it's going to happen. All you have to do is be so polite, professional, and fun to work with that they enjoy the process of paying you. It doesn't have to be a weird, awkward moment unless you make it one, which you will at first, but even that's okay. Next, when I say the sky's the limit, I really mean it. I follow bloggers that make $16,000 a month on their original blog writing, and my business coach makes $250,000 a year just talking to people on the phone. If you get creative with your income and what you offer people, and especially how you talk about it, you really can do anything. Mostly, this is because when you work for yourself, your time is worth more. Instead of a company taking that 50% of your salary, now you get all of it, but the price is doing all of the work. For some people, it is not worth it. I even considered getting a full-time job just a few months ago because I was so tired of marketing and selling myself on the phone. But that was right before my first five-figure month, and it turned out I was burned out, and I just needed a vacation. If you have the time, it's worth trying to see if freelancing would be a good fit for you. As for finding people to pay you to write, clients are everywhere, and your method will be unique. I got many of my best clients just by asking. I literally found their email creatively, because sometimes they aren't listed, and I pitched myself as a writer because I was passionate about their business. Now I have an excellent client base of strong referrals because I do my best and I try to be easy to work with. Finally, as Dave Ramsey says, you can't out-earn stupidity. No matter how much you charge or how much you make as a freelancer, you will be stressed out all of the time if you don't focus on savings and strong personal financial skills. That's the only way to create security in freelancing. I worked hard over this over the past 2 years, especially as a personal finance writer, and I used Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University to guide my debt repayment and savings plan. When you find something you want more than anything, like freelancing and running your own business, budgeting and saving become a little easier to manage. If you think of all the different kinds of books in the library, you'll quickly see that there's tons of different things to write about. There are also a lot of different types of writing that people will pay for. The most traditional are your books and blogs and magazine articles, as well as ghostwriting those things for other people. And then there's the world of digital marketing, which I jumped into, with even more opportunities, including blog posts for companies, websites, landing pages, and white papers and ebooks. Googling any of these things will give you a number of how-to articles to help you figure out more. As you start to write or build a portfolio, I recommend you generalize at first to figure out what you like to do. What formats come quickly to you? Social media, tweets, or 90-page ebooks? What topics do you like to write about? And then what topics do you like to write about that people will actually pay for? For me, I love writing about personal finance and paleo food, but people pay me for ghostwriting in business and social intelligence. I walk a fine line between those things by writing what I love as a side income, which is my 2 ebooks, and writing for work because I enjoy it and I'm good at it. Over time, you'll want to specialize to make the most money possible. Countless new writer websites will share the story of why specializing is important, and it's usually a reference to a doctor or a lawyer. When you have a specific rare disease, would you want to go to a doctor who is totally great at all diseases, or would you want to go to the doctor who specializes in the disease you have? It's the same with a writer. We think that variety and flexibility are valuable when we first get started, but in reality, expertise and confidence are what is valuable. Lower-level writers, quote, can write about anything, but you want to specialize as soon as you feel comfortable. That said, I actually don't specialize. I have a diverse portfolio of clients, and I'm still winnowing down what I really want to write about. Right now I'm focusing on the people I want to work with, but as long as I'm going to meet my income goals, I've decided to be fine with that. Like I said, your path is going to be unique to you. Writing for personal enjoyment is very different from writing for the internet or for business. The best way to learn it is through free resources online. Freelance writers share valuable information about pricing, marketing, getting clients, and being more efficient as a writer. They also run paid courses to get you up and running even faster than you would by yourself. Here's a quick list of great writing websites around the internet. Each of these writers have websites with free content, paid courses, and communities that can help you be successful with freelancing. I've also included a link to my site, which will launch late in August, called 5-Figure Writer. Each of these sites specializes in slightly different types of writing, so the best option is going to be to subscribe to all of them and see what jumps out at you over time. When you're ready to actually get started as a freelance writer, start with your internet presence. First, you want to lock down your social media, including Twitter and Facebook, so that only professional things and photos are out there. Then focus on building an intentional presence with a personal blog. Even if your clients aren't in the field that you're writing about, your personal writing can help them get to know you and see that you're reliable because you post consistently and honestly. The next step is to build a portfolio website and tighten up your LinkedIn profile. Because these platforms feature real work rather than past accomplishments like a resume, they'll be more important to you than your resume and cover letter. As you start to take free or low-paying assignments, fill your portfolio with work you love. That way the people who can pay you to do that work will find you and see that you want to work with them. If you fill your portfolio with work that you didn't really enjoy doing or you didn't get paid while doing, it's just going to attract more of the same. The best marketing ideas will come from the blog resources I mentioned in the previous slide, but make sure you stay active online and network with other writers, designers, and marketers that you meet. Not only will this help you grow a network of people who can refer work to you, but you can also become a strong networking partner and refer work to them. I've never been a fan of investing too much money in something you aren't sure will pay off. So personally, I like to bootstrap my projects by doing them myself. To get your websites up and running, I recommend you start playing with websites and themes and finding your tone. It might be really intimidating to start, but once you dive in, it may actually get fun. I recommend a self-hosted WordPress site, but if you truly have no patience for the internet, a Squarespace or hosted WordPress site will be just fine. Just get your name out there with some links to your writing, and then start reading and commenting on other blogs. To find people to connect with, first figure out who you like to write for, and then find out where they go. So check their LinkedIn groups and follow their trade publications online. Be with them as much as you can online, and your work will naturally come up. To make this process easier, I also like to use Buffer to schedule posts and share articles in my field. That should start everyone off with a good to-do list if you'd like to freelance. So now I'd like to open it up and turn it back to Andrea for a few questions. If you're interested in seeing some of my examples of my writing and career, here are a few links to my website. For business, I work out of Greesonbach.com, as well as my LinkedIn and business Twitter. And as a passion project, I'm launching 5figurewriter.com to support new writers who want to make a full-time income writing. You can sign up to receive an email notification when the site launches on the site right now. I also write about the soft side of personal finance and freelancing at my personal blog, Life, Etc. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Andrea.
Thank you much, Sarah. I tell you, after hearing you, I'm going to go back through the webinar and I'm going to see what I can do with my communications major, because I too like to write. So thank you so much. You definitely opened my eyes. And there's a couple other things, but just very informative. So I do have some questions for you. What is freelancing and how does it compare to a full-time job?
Well, most people understand typical job categories like full-time, part-time, and contract work. But unlike any of those kind of jobs, freelancing is when a person takes on work according to an independent, completely flexible contract. So freelancing is different from full-time, part-time, and contract work in that it encompasses virtually any type of assignment, and it's negotiated between equals instead of an employer and employee relationship. So the line blurs a little bit between part-time contracts and freelance, but the difference is mainly the freedom that the freelancer has within those contracts. So freelancers negotiate their own working hours, their pay, benefits, and the length of the relationship, whereas part-time and contract workers are typically assigned these things based on the employer.
Got it. Got it. So you spoke a little bit about it. Can you talk more about how you actually find freelance writing jobs and how is that different from finding a full-time job?
Sure. So everybody knows that you get a job through job boards and your personal network. So in many ways, freelancing jobs come the same way. But instead of heading to Simply Hired or Indeed, you're just going to go to websites like ProBlogger and freelancewritingjobs.com. So it's more a matter of learning the language of freelancing, which you can do by reading all those free blog posts online from a number of successful authors, and then just going to those new websites and finding a new approach to job hunting.
Okay, so my final question to you, really, how much income can a freelancer make?
Right, so the stereotype of the broke writer, like I said, is a very popular one, especially among my parents. And so, so I'd like to say, I was very surprised my first year where without as much planning. So my main emphasis was just in replacing my income and making sure that, we don't feel broke. In my first year, so without a lot of planning, we actually pulled in $59,000. And then this year, I'm on track to break six figures if everything goes well. There's a lot of people who can make more money than I do freelancing because they spend more time with it or they brand a lot better or they simply specialize in much more difficult writing. But then there's people who decide to work less. And so I know a few freelancers who make less than $20,000 because they choose to work a little less and spend more time with their family. So I think, the best part is that really the more energy you put into it, the more income you're going to get out of it. And so having that kind of flexibility can be invaluable.
Well, Sarah, everything you said just makes lots of sense. And I was just sitting here thinking, what if there becomes a mass exodus? Because everybody's going to view this webinar and decide they want to be freelance writers. So Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for attending this College Recruiter webinar. The subject of today's discussion was on how to use an English major to make more money as a freelance writer than working a 9-to-5. My name is Andrea McEwen Henderson, and I was your host today. I am one of the national account managers with College Recruiter. I have a dozen years of experience in helping large and small employers reach recent college graduates and students. My primary responsibilities are facilitating our webinars, moderating the discussions at our college recruiting bootcamp conferences, as well as working with small to mid-sized employers on their entry-level hiring needs. College Recruiter is the highest traffic college job board with 150,000 unique monthly visitors. We help employers reach recent graduates and students of 1-, 2-, and 4-year colleges and graduate schools. We have permission to deliver emails on behalf of our employer clients to 7 million recent graduates and 10 million students. We can also target them by major, school, year of graduation, diversity, and more. Our other solutions for employers include job postings, targeted mobile banner ads, targeted display ads, virtual career fairs, and custom research projects. For more information about College Recruiter, you can reach us at www.collegerecruiter.com/contact or 952-848-2211. Today's guest was Sarah Greesonbach, the principal copywriter for Greesonbach Creative. Thank you for joining us today.